didn't know because we were barely toddlers when this song used to seep through the small transistor radio, a Philips red colored plastic coated Philips transistor radio, the only source of music and information in the household. And the song was just a melancholy but melodious music that didn't make any meaning to us at the then. But in later years, we later discovered that this was a tribute song to the late singer and frontman of the Wings of ABBA, late Spud Nathan. Sit back as we delve into the music of this band that made ABBA a popular city and the people really enjoyed what they offered them in forms of music entertainment, talking about the Wings of ABBA. Hailing from the southeastern part of Nigeria, the band was led by the charismatic lead singer Spud Nathan, whose real name was Emeka Jonathan Udensi. The Wings were known for their unique blend of high life, Afrobeat, and Western pop influences, which created a sound that resonated with many Nigerians during the Afro-funk era of Nigerian music. Like with many bands of that era, the Wings were associated with the military because they used to entertain the soldiers during the Nigerian Biafran Civil War. They were initially called the Spurs and later rebranded to the Air Force Wings and later became the Wings of ABBA. I used to wonder if the Wings had anything, or maybe they picked their names from Paul McCartney's Wings, who had a stint briefly in Lagos for the recording of their Grammy award winning album titled Band on the Run. Probably these guys picked up this name from the Wings, but I'm just suggesting. I don't really know, but maybe it's just a coincidence. However, this is about the Wings of ABBA, led by Spud Nathan. The original Wings lineup included Spud Nathan on the vocals, Arinze Okpalla on bass guitar, Manford bass and rhythm guitar, Oke Owakwe on lead guitar, Joel Madubike on drums, Pius Deli on keyboards, Adema Dabro and Dandy on percussion. These are the lineup of the band between 1970 and 1974 because along the line they had a split following the accident that took the life of Spud Nathan. Building on their popularity as an affiliated band of the military during the Civil War in the eastern part of the country, and at the end of the war, the band made plans to record some of their music, and they did so with the HMV imprint of EMI Music in Nigeria. They released several singles which saw their popularity across the country, and this was a build-up to the release of their first album titled Kissing You So Hard in 1974. Kissing You So Hard as an album became a big hit in that period because of the popularity that the band has built up for themselves, entertaining people, playing live music across the country that have gathered enough support to spur the sales and commercial success of this album. We understand that the record company, being so impressed by the performance of this album, rewarded the band members with brand new cars to celebrate their success as a group, celebrate the success and the launch of the album Kissing You So Hard.
Believe me, believe me.
It must be said that that was a big deal because in those days, music was still looked upon as a profession for people that never wanted to do well in their lives. When parents were looking up to their children becoming doctors, engineers, lawyers, so having been rewarded with cars as a musician was really a big deal. And the band continued touring and building up the plans and prospects of becoming a bigger brand, a bigger band in the country. However, tragedy was lurking in the corner because on July 10th, 1974, an accident took place on the Njaba Bridge in Imo State, Nigeria. In that accident, Spud Nathan, the band leader, lead singer, and frontman, passed on following the accident. The band had actually finished performing in Suka as Williams and they were on their way to Port Harcourt for another gig when this accident happened. Apart from Spud Nathan, Manford was also in that car and he was alleged to be the one driving. He sustained minor injury while the other guitarist, Oke Owakwe, also passed on in the accident. The death of Spud Nathan was a very big tragic loss to music lovers across Nigeria, but most particular in Aba, the city that has grown to love him so much because he was always seen around with his guitar in the city. This was too much for the people to bear as they were thrown into a long spell of mourning for their beloved Spud Nathan. Within the band, the shock of losing Spud Nathan was too much, and there were accusations and counter accusations and allegations here and there which led to a spell of their absence in the scene, and indeed, the eventual split of the band into two, the Arinze Okpalla led original wings and the Manford led super wings of ABBA. One of the core differences between the two factions or the two splinter groups of the wings from our research is that Manford would have preferred that the band get over the loss of Spud Nathan and the other members quickly and get back into the business of making music, while the other faction or the other group preferred to mourn their late frontman for a while to allow for them to heal properly before they get back into the business. It is neither here nor there because people are different and people take things differently when it comes to the loss of beloved ones. Manford are gone on to recruit Orwell Okpara, George Emma, we know George Emma, the singer from Akwa Ibom, Jerry Boyfriend, we also know Jerry Boyfriend, who also made some marks for himself as a solo artist, John Emeka Johnson Hart, and Pius Delin into the super wings of ABBA. On the other hand, Arinze Okpalla gathered up himself, Charles Efi Duke, Dandy Aduba, Emma Chinaka, Jerry Demoa, Johnny Ngozi Chukwu Fleming, Oke Owakwe, Terry Jackson, and Udo Oru Okoro to form the original wings of ABBA. In 1976, the Manford led Super Wings of ABBA released their first album as a comeback album following the death of Spud Nathan and following the split of the group. That album was titled Men of the People under the Clover Sound record label. One of the tracks, in fact, the opening tracks of the album, was a tribute song to Spud Nathan titled Jonathan Udensi, Rest in Peace.
Jonathan, Jonathan Udensi. Jonathan, Spud Nathan, where have you gone?
In the same 1976, the Arinze Okpalla led Original Wings also released their first comeback album, having signed to the EMI Record Label. That album had the tribute song, Spud Nathan, the song that I was talking about at the beginning of this episode of this podcast. That was the song that has stuck into the minds of so many people as we remember Spud Nathan.
No, it's no good. The way you left us. Spud Nathan, no, it's no good. As you departed.
Indeed, the album is titled Tribute to Spud Nathan and also contain other tracks like Your Love is True, Tell Me, Don't Call Me a Fool, Love is for Us, Sit Up, and other tracks. That was actually the only album released by the Arinze Okpalla Original Wings faction of the Wings. But before the death of Spud Nathan, several releases as singles have been made, which include Afam Efuna in 1972, You Want Me Back in 1972, Somewhere Else Will in 1973, and Single Boy in 1974. On the other hand, the Super Wings, led by Manford also went on to release a second album under the Clover Sound label in 1977, and the album was titled My Love Is For You. Manford has also gone on to have some sort of successful solo career in the late 70s and very early 80s. Manford's best solo recordings include Come Go With Me, released in 1978 under Max Series Records, and I've Been Loving You in 1980, released under the Tabansi record label. The members of the Wings Collective, talking about the Wings itself, the original Wing, and the Super Wings, some of them have gone up to do great things for themselves, as solo artists in terms of Manford George Emma, Jerry Boyfriend, record label ownership, talking of John Dureke, who had top rank records that launched the careers of Daniel Wilson and Alpha Kufa right from the city of Aba. That's how the group has been influential in the Nigerian music sphere. And even though they are not very active now, we really applaud their contribution to the music industry in Nigeria. At the same time, we mourn the loss of Spud Nathan. We keep on remembering him, having him in our memories as we cherish the good music he left behind for us. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode where we brought you the story of the Wings, the Super Wings, the original Wings, Spud Nathan, Manford and other members of the Wings family, the musical family of the Wings from Aba in Nigeria. If you like what we're doing, kindly subscribe to this channel as we are going to bring you more stories surrounding Nigerian music. Thank you for being with us. Peace.